Hello and welcome to another verse of the day. Since today's verse, 1 Corinthians 1:22, is a shorter verse and not as difficult for us, that gives us a little bit of time to look at another tool that is available for you on the internet. It's www.greekbible.com. And this website is basically what it says. It's the Greek Bible online. You can go to any chapter in the New Testament, type in the specific reference, push enter, and voila, there it is. Now I point this out to you for a couple reasons. First of all, if there's a verse that's really giving you a lot of trouble, and you don't have the money for the expensive Greek software, this verse also gives you the opportunity, just by clicking on a word, you'll notice it'll bring the word up in a separate pop-up window, giving you both the definition and possibly the correct parsing for the word. They are not that diligent, so it may be wrong every once in a while, but nonetheless it can still be helpful, especially if you're just trying to look up a word and you can't get back to the original root. However, what I would like to encourage you to use this website for is to copy and print out the text that you're going to be translating so that you can write all over it the same way that I do. So for instance, if I just do chapter and not the verse, it's going to bring up all of chapter 1 of 1 Corinthians. I go to the passage that we've been working through, verses 19 to 25. I'll copy it, and then I'll paste it in a Word document, make it 3-line spacing, and this gives me space for underlining and circling and writing parsing above and definitions below, all before I do my translation. And now let's move on to our verse of the day. So here's our verse, 1 Corinthians 1:22. As I pointed out, it's much shorter, and words which you may not recognize are epide, although we had this one yesterday. It means because or since. And this word, which comes from Elaine, which means Greek or Gentile. Now pause the video, take some time to translate, and then we'll work through it together. So, as always, the first question we ask is, what is the main verb? But if you look carefully, you'll notice that there are two words here that are verbs. We have aitusin coming from aiteo, and we have zetusin coming from zeteo. If we parse these verbs, we find that they are identical. They are both present, active, indicative, third person plural. Now my next question is usually just, what is the subject? But since we've got two separate verbs here, we've got to figure out, do these verbs share the same subject? Is it one person doing both of these things? Or do they have separate subjects? So now we look for nouns in the nominative case. And we find that hudaios, which means Jew, is connected to this verb, and Elenes, which means Greek, is the subject of this verb. Now, as far as what's our direct object, we don't have much left to work with, so this part is pretty straightforward. Semeion, the word for sign, gets our direct object for this short sentence. And Sophion, meaning wisdom, is our direct object for the second sentence. And now we do our translation. Because Jews ask for signs, and Greeks seek wisdom. Put a comma here because it will lead into our next verse. Then you'll notice I didn't translate this kai here. It's not necessary for the English, but it's working with the other one to show that these two phrases are parallel. And that is our verse for the day.